we really are the most advanced technology that there is. And it's time to step into the multidimensional experience of our body. Our DNA is a multidimensional system. It's a quantum system. And when we start to experience what we can do with that technology, is how we create heaven on earth, because it's already inside of us. Everybody's DNA is activating. It's part of human evolution.
Hello, spiritual friends, and welcome to another episode of Life Ascended, where we focus on raising our vibration and accessing our higher dimensional reality through everyday practices. And today I have a beautiful guest coming on. We have Jules Arnes, who actually wrote the foreword of my book. So she's such a delightful person. And she is the creator of a delivery system for people to receive the frequencies that are advancing the DNA. It is a revolutionary method to not only support cells to move beyond limiting beliefs, but to give people the power to heal themselves. Wanting to bring about groundbreaking changes in DNA intelligence, Jules focuses on awakening the next level in human evolution by teaching her step-by-step methods to those who feel the calling to enhance the human experience. So thank you so much for coming on the show, Jules.
Thank you, Cynthia. And I just am so excited to see where this conversation takes us.
Yeah, me too. So let's start out with the frequency of 2025. What is it about 2025 that is going to be different than maybe what we've experienced before?
Yes, this is actually a passion of mine. So, for those of us that kind of follow the frequency of numbers, we're moving into a 9 year, and that really opens up the opportunity of choosing either to master the matrix or to really have the illusion of the matrix master us. So I like to see the nine as the frequency of the divine God source, however you want to say it, and that the teaching in it is that everything is divine. And when we start to see through the eyes of the divine, we have the opportunity to see in a way that hasn't been seen before. So you can see it as when we're in the frequency of source, which is measured at 963 hertz, that we see from a different perspective. And by doing that, we start to break through the illusions of the matrix. And this isn't just happening within our reality, but it's actually happening in our body. And our DNA is starting to activate, turning on that 12-strand system so that we can evolve consciously and do it through our body. I feel like that's one thing that a lot of us in the spiritual world that we kind of leave behind or we're taught is not important, but we really are the most advanced technology that there is. And it's time to step into the multidimensional experience of our body. And this year is really about doing just that. It's about seeing the world from a lens of that technology and learning to master the illusion of the matrix.
I love that. Yeah, the number nine. So I've been seeing a lot of nines lately too, by the way.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting that you mentioned that because yeah, I've been seeing 909 a lot on my clock, and also 911 has been showing up a lot. And it's like, okay. Yeah, there's
I
something
love
to that.
that you said that because that is really why putting our attention to mastering the matrix this year is so important. Because if you think about in numerology, two things happen. We either go from the nine back to the one and start the cycle over again. And that's what we call karmic cycles that we're all here to break, right? Where it's time
Mhm.
to move past looping cycles. And so the opportunity is actually to master that. And I love that you're seeing the nine and the nine with the zero in the middle, because once the nine is mastered, meaning that we see everything through the intelligence of source, we move into the 11 and we break the karmic cycle. So that's what you're seeing, that karmic cycle as you're seeing those numbers, is that we have the opportunity to master the nine so that we can move into the 11. And that's what we all are calling the new earth, the new human, the golden age, however you want to see it, is that's when we move into a brand new reality where the illusion is has been broken.
Mm. That is super exciting because yeah, I'm already feeling the energy of this year and I just feel more optimistic and more joyful and more, I can't really explain it. It's just it feels different, and in a good way. And it's so funny because it's like I just ignore all the doom and gloom of course, the news and, all that garbage that tries to keep you in fear. And I just know that we are moving into something amazing. So it's good to hear that you feel that too.
Yes, I think it's really important that you say that too, because there's going to be a lot of talk about the energies, and a lot of times you'll see that, oh, it's chaos, it's oh this and this, and even on this astrology level, a lot of people are talking about how the shift is going to cause a lot of chaos, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but when it's presented in a place of fear, I always say just turn it off, right? Because that's
Yeah.
just reading the frequency through the what I call the primal body, and that's not what this is about. And so if
Hmm.
we have a choice, that's what it is to be a master and to master the matrix, is that we have a choice of how we want to experience this. And that's, I think, what this whole conversation is about, is
Hmm.
depending on where you're holding your consciousness and what choice that you're choosing, you really have the ability to experience this shift in from that place of joy and ease and expansion.
Yeah, for sure. So, and it's so important that we focus on what we want. That's part of manifesting, right? Focus on what we want to see, continue to be in that gratitude, continue to be in that positive expectation, and things just flow so much better.
Yes.
So, so let's talk about manifesting in 5D consciousness. So, how are things going to be changing in that realm? Like, what do you see happening?
I really see, like, first of all, what's even defined what is 5D consciousness. And a, a lot of us have the understanding that consciousness is an evolution. But really, when we start to understand what consciousness is, we find out that it's a tool. It's not identifying who we are. It's a tool that is attuning to the intelligence that's stored within us. And if you want to call that source, God, that frequency has an intelligence, and it's 963 and is transcribed in our DNA. So really, like, as we start to move into 5D consciousness, we're going in. We keep going in. We're not going out there. We're going in, and we're attuning to that frequency as our DNA is activating. And when we do that, our body raises in frequency, which raises our consciousness. And because our consciousness is a direct reflection of that intelligence. So one way you can look at it is, am I identifying in the reality around me? Or am I identifying through a frequency within me? And when we start to learn to go inside and attune our consciousness to that frequency, we start to tap into the intelligence there. And so, what that looks like is our intuition turns on, and we start to see without seeing. We start to hear without hearing, right? And we know from a place of a deep knowing within us versus knowing through the programmed mind and body. And so 5D consciousness is the ability to tap into an intelligence that's outside of our programmed reality, our programmed mind, our programmed body. And we start to experience life multidimensionally. And what you were just talking about with manifesting, we want to put our intentions within that field or that frequency and start to manifest a world that hasn't been discovered before. And the only way we can do that is to not manifest from the level of consciousness that we've already created from, is to always step into the creation of a frequency that's brand new.
Yeah, the realm of the unknown. Yeah, exactly. It's like, wow. That just gives me chills too, because it feels so magical and so amazing. And I love how you bring the power back to ourselves, and bring it inside of us because it's already inside of us.
Mm.
And yeah, we tend to give away our power, right? We put everything externally, and it's like we think of we have to be saved and we have to be rescued, and and it's like, maybe we don't need to be rescued. Maybe we're the ones rescuing ourselves.
I mean, it makes sense that it would be that way. That it doesn't really make sense that we're waiting for some external thing to happen in order for us to experience heaven on earth or experience what we are capable of when we really start to put our consciousness in. Our body is the most advanced operating system there is. Like, we are the most advanced technology, and it's stored right in our DNA. Our DNA is a multidimensional system, it's a quantum system. And when we start to experience what we can do with that technology, is how we create heaven on earth, because it's already inside of us. Now it's turning it on and bringing it into expression, putting our focus in that expression and then creating it from there.
Yeah, so I think this concept of the 12-strand DNA might be new to some people. So, most people think of like the double helix, right, as our DNA. So where are these other 10 strands, and why haven't they been active? And what's up with that? What's up with this DNA?
I know. It's funny because we operate like what science is studying is the two-strand DNA, and that's what we see in our medical field, and that's what's making up our body. It's our genetics and all of these different things. And then they say the rest of it's junk. Well, we all know it's not junk, and I think even on a scientific level, they're already aware that it's not junk, and now it has something to do with like how our proteins are being processed. And so there is even a physical aspect to those other strands. But when you step back and you see that each of those strands is holding a frequency, and that frequency is doing something. And then when all of them, just like it's, if you had an instrument playing and it played by itself, and then you had another one playing by itself, but if you put them all together, it creates a symphony. Well, we are that symphony. So when all 12 strands are activated, they become multidimensional or quantum.
Hmm.
And that's when our body starts to operate through not just the two-strand DNA that we're focusing our consciousness on, but starts to operate from all 12. And when we start to do that is when we heal instantly. It's when we are totally attuned to our intuitions. And we actually aren't just seeing through matter, but we're seeing multidimensionally. And so we really do become something different, and we become the creation and the creator of source intelligence, not what we see as reality. And that's, obviously shifting from something that's 3D to 5D. This is part of that process, is that our body actually activates and becomes 5D as well.
Yeah, that sounds so beautifully complex yet simple.
Are you ready to unlock your true potential and embrace a life filled with unconditional love and inner peace? Introducing the Diamond Heart Emotional Ascension Program, a transformative journey designed to help you heal deep emotional challenges and rediscover your authentic self. In just 3 months, you'll learn to identify emotional blocks from your very own hands that have been holding you back and release them vibrationally. Rewire limiting patterns with tools from higher dimensional realms. Activate your diamond heart aligning with divine intelligence, and embracing self-love. Guided by spiritual mentor Cynthia Clark, this course offers a pathway to emotional freedom and higher self-expression. Don't wait to start your journey toward profound inner peace. Visit ascension17.com/courses to enroll in the Diamond Heart program today. Your ascension begins with the heart. And now back to the episode.
And it's maybe something that's hard to grasp, but there I feel different, and that's really all I can explain is I'm just starting to feel different.
Yeah.
And so what are some of the symptoms that people are experiencing as they move from this 3D to 5D? What can they expect, or what can they be on the lookout for?
Yeah, I love that. We have that whole world of ascension symptoms out there. And I think the most important part as we start to, because everybody's DNA is activating, it's part of human evolution, right? Like we're no
Yeah.
longer back in the ape world to the caveman to what we are now to what we're becoming. And we are actively participating in that evolution. And we won't go into all the details of that. That would be like a whole nother podcast. But as we start to do this, things that we start to notice are eating unhealthy food doesn't feel good anymore. And maybe that there's times where our body is really upgrading a higher frequency and we need to rest more. It may be that we get, those spiritual colds and stuff like that. But the thing that I think is most important is that our body is going to upgrade no matter what. It's already happening. It's
Mm.
happening right now. What I like to really put an emphasis on is how we're holding consciousness in that upgrade will define what our experience is as our body ascends. So
Mm.
the more conscious that we are of the shift, the more we can actively participate consciously in the frequency of the shift. And if we do that and we learn to master it by putting consciousness in the unknown or that abstract frequency, the easier it is. It doesn't have to be hard.
I love that, because a lot of times we think things are going to be difficult or painful, or I have to give up everything to do this. I have to become like a monk up on the mountain and go on a pilgrimage and stop talking to people for 10 years. People have crazy ideas about stuff like this.
Well, it's because it's the unknown, right? And
Mhm.
we're taught to fear the unknown instead of celebrate it. And in our body, that two-strand DNA body is really kind of responsible for that because it's based in primal. It's based in a space of keeping us safe. And so anytime there's a change, our body starts to release chemicals that make us feel stressed, right? Even if it's a good
Yeah.
change, our body will still release those chemicals. And then our mind comes in and creates a story around, oh, why am I feeling stressed? And why is this? And maybe
Mm.
you get sick because it's putting stress on your immune system. And as we start to ascend the body, that will be part of what happens is our primal body will fight it at first because it doesn't recognize the frequency of where we're moving into. But once we hold consciousness in the higher frequencies, we actually move outside of just the primal body experience and start to experience the body in this multidimensional space where our consciousness is no longer having the experience of the primal body, but of the multidimensional body. That's why learning to hold consciousness in higher frequencies is one of our assets. It's one of our biggest tools of ascending the body with ease.
Mm, I love that. So how do we hold our consciousness higher? I mean, people just are so stressed, like you said, they're stressed out, they're stuck in that primal body. How do we more consistently hold our consciousness in a higher frequency?
Well, a step one is awareness. it's being aware of where you are, because so many times we'll be in the stress and we'll go down the rabbit hole and not even know that we're doing it. So once we have the awareness, it's bringing out the tools, right? There's a lot of different tools. So knowing what level of consciousness that you're in, and how that level of consciousness is directly affecting your body, is the first thing that I teach, because if you don't know that, then it's really hard to change. And so that's one of my passions. And it's not hard, it's just an awareness. And then it's having the awareness of what it feels like to use your consciousness as an attuning tool versus a reflection. So once you're aware, a lot of us know what that feels like. Oh, I just kind of stepped out and I became the observer of my thoughts. Well, that's only, step two, is starting to observe what your thoughts are.
Mm-hmm.
Because the truth is, every time there's an observation happening of thoughts, there's always another frequency, and that's what we call the divine frequency. And so once we have the awareness of what's being observed, we want to move into that third space, moving into attuning to the intelligence of a higher frequency. So once we have the tools of learning how to attune, and we can do an exercise where I can give you that experience,
Mm.
then we can really master what it is to attune. And we can start to use that DNA system, or our divine operating system, what I call divine molecular technology. We can learn to operate it. And once we know how to operate that operating system, we really do become unstoppable, because we start to experience life multidimensionally.
Mm. Well, that sounds amazing. So, are you willing to do a little exercise with us right now? Should
Yeah,
we do
it's so
that?
fun. It's so fun.
Yeah.
So, this exercise is going to show you the difference between being in the third level of consciousness, which is the level of consciousness where we're trying to make something happen. So, we're trying to manifest something from the same level of consciousness that we created the reality that we're in. So, it's learning the difference between observing a programmed reality and then attuning and allowing a new frequency to come in and inform your consciousness. So we'll do that. It takes 2 minutes, not
Okay.
even. So it's a really easy. It's
Mm.
funny how, the intelligence within us, once we recognize the difference between what I'm about to show you, everything changes. And we're not taught this, right? So
Mm-hmm. That's true.
this is the first step. So shut your eyes.
Okay.
All right. And now what you're going to do is you're going to imagine a sunflower. So just imagine what a sunflower would be. You could even imagine what a sunflower smells like, what a sunflower would feel like, and
Okay.
definitely what it looks like. Okay, so now open your eyes and shake it out. All right, so now we're going to shut our eyes again, and we're going to ask that our divine operating system, that frequency of the 12-strand DNA system, turns on and starts to release the frequency of source. And from this frequency, we're going to ask that the frequency of source show us a sunflower. And now you're going to allow the frequency to give you the experience of a sunflower through the frequency of source. And just notice how your body feels different. The image may or may not be different. Just notice how your body is feeling. It becomes a full body experience.
Mm.
Just notice what the sunflower feels like. This is if it looks different. You're no longer imagining, you're allowing. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Mm.
So the biggest part, and I would even invite people to go back and do it again,
Mm-hmm.
is to notice how it feels different. The first one is more trying. You're
Hmm.
going into your filing cabinet, you're bringing it out, and it may still be lovely because
Hmm.
a sunflower is lovely, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
But the second one, you're in a place of allowing. You're allowing a frequency to turn on, and then you're having the experience of that frequency consciously. So your consciousness is moving outside of your programming and allowing it to be informed by that frequency. And it's a practice, right? The more
Mm-hmm.
we do it, the
Hmm.
better we get.
Yeah.
And it's like a tool, right? But the more that we can, and then you can imagine what life would be like if we started to live from that state of consciousness where our reality is being informed by the
Mhm.
frequency of source versus the other way around.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I actually saw more of like a microscopic level. Like I went into the sunflower and then I saw this beautiful fractal and it like opened up to this really amazing, just like fractal and it was moving and it was like, I mean, that was pretty powerful.
It's fun. It's definitely fun. And now, taking it a step further is to do it even actively. So, doing things that you would do all the time, like brush your teeth. It's
Hmm.
okay, well, I can just brush my teeth as through the programming, or okay, now I'm going to activate the frequency of source in my body. What
Hmm.
is it to brush my teeth from that frequency? And what immediately happens the more that you practice it is that your consciousness expands and starts to attune. It's like waiting for the answer, right? You get to that
Hmm.
place of just like allowing and staying open and curious. And that's the attuning process. Like that's the first level of learning to attune consciousness
Hmm.
versus using it as an observation.
Mm. Yeah, it's like becoming that. You
Mhm.
know, you it's like you put yourself into it and it's yeah, it feels different. It's
Yeah.
very expansive.
Yeah.
Um, wow, that's yeah, that's really fun. That's a great activity. So everybody go do it again. Back up
Practice.
yeah, back up this recording and and go practice it again. That's so much fun. So let's talk a little bit about some of your programs and some of the things that you how you work with people and how you teach people.
Right. So the foundations course is kind of always, of course, going to be the step one. But my free offer is manifesting through the evolution technology. So everything I do is through frequency and using technologies to activate the DNA. And then, of course, the teaching part is learning how to hold consciousness in the frequency of what's being activated. So part of my offer today is going to be the manifest class, which is a 30-day process of manifesting through the evolution technology, which is our scalar technology that's working on a cellular level to turn on all 12 strands of DNA. And so that's a lot of fun. And then from there, you can definitely go and take the journey of what it is to ascend the body through the mind or consciousness, you could say, through the actual physical form of the body, and then even up to a soul or a spiritual level that we can learn to hold all aspects of ourselves in this 12 DNA system. Or another way of saying that is you learn to operate your divine operating system or that advanced technology that's stored within you.
Mm, I love that. That's very it sounds like it would up level you in pretty much every area of your life. So that sounds super powerful for people.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
We're only using about 10% of our potential right now. And
Hmm.
I mean, that's 10%. That's like so small.
It is.
I mean, if you think about it, we're using two of 12. So just
Hmm.
imagine what you're capable of when you start to put your consciousness in all 12. Because they're all 12 are already there. They're already running. They're already active. We just aren't consciously aware of what we are when all 12 strands are active. So when we start to actively consciously turn on those frequencies through these tools then we have somewhere for our consciousness to go, just like the sunflower. We asked
Mhm.
and then we went in and we attuned. And once you have the tools of learning how to operate within those frequencies, you're unstoppable.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Well, the work you're doing is so valuable. So, yeah, I just really appreciate the work that you're doing for the planet and for human evolution. And it's so needed right now because every person can make such a huge difference. So the more people we get turned on and activated, the faster we're all going to ascend and actually be in that 5D consciousness. So it's terrific that you're doing this work. So thank
Oh,
you.
oh, thank you. And thank you for just holding these beautiful spaces. And I just gonna shout out because I do know your work that it is the most amazing. So I just want to do a shout out for your work as well because I think you're right. You hit the spot right there is that this work is for everybody. And there is no limitation to what we can do, no matter where you are on the scale of consciousness. And once we step in, we are held in a field of evolution and we're going to be supported in that. And I think that just first choice of saying, okay, I'm ready for this. I'm ready to change my life. I'm ready to change my reality. I'm ready to change my mindset. I'm ready to change the way I'm experiencing my body. And once we say yes to that, it's like a frequency just comes in and we start the journey. And once we're in the field, the source field, once we're
Yeah.
held in the frequency, uh, it's there's no going back.
Yeah, that's for sure. It kind of just grabs you and then keeps you going. But I'm grateful for my life. There's no question. I'm so glad that I said yes to myself, so long ago when it didn't make any sense. I mean, when I discovered hand analysis, had no idea what I was starting and where I was going to end up. And yeah, the universe has a funny way of working sometimes.
Well, and I just want to also just celebrate you in not just saying yes to something like that, but to let it be completely reimagined and informed in a frequency that it is, as far as I know, is not out there the way that you're teaching it and doing it. It's something brand new, and that takes a commitment to saying yes over and over and over and over again. And that's the opportunity here. That's how we're going to create the new earth, is that we're up leveling everything.
Mhm.
And just the ability to say yes to that, commit to that, and continue to commit to that. I just want to honor you there.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you. So, is there anything else that you want to talk about that we have not talked about? Any closing thoughts?
Oh gosh. Oh, it always hits the spot. Okay, so let me just ask. Yeah, I think just going back to the beginning of our conversation about what this year is all about, and it it truly is time for us to choose, right? Do I want to continue to live my life the way that I am, or am I ready to step into something more? And if it's I'm ready to step something into something more, then we start to hold awareness. And in that awareness, we start to make choices that are different. And everybody thinks, oh, it's so hard. And like how are we going to get from here to there, and it's not about just going from here to there. It's about those 1 degree choices. It's like every moment you have the opportunity to step into a new reality, and once we have the awareness and we can start to put consciousness in those higher frequencies, even if it's just 1 degree higher, and you're just doing that one little exercise of brushing my teeth from a new state of consciousness, it starts to unravel and open up this entire different reality. So it's not something that's hard. It's a commitment and it's a practice. And then we start to see that we truly do have the ability to create a new world.
Mm, I love that. Yeah, it opens it up for, yeah, wherever you're at, you can start with that 1%. what's that one thing? And it starts with your thoughts right now. It starts with you, listening to this beautiful wisdom. And you can absolutely shift your life in incremental ways.
Mhm.
So, and it's amazing how, like, if you look back, like I look back on like the last 5 years, boy, I'm like a totally different person, you know? And yeah, it's one little step at a time. So yeah, that's great wisdom. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you coming on the show today.
Well, thank you so much, Cynthia. It's been my honor.
And thanks everybody for tuning in. As always, we welcome your input. If there's a topic that you want to discuss more fully, please let us know. And we appreciate each and every one of you. And let's ascend together. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Thanks for joining us on Life Ascended, where you can discover your divine potential every day. Please show your support by tuning in, following, sharing your comments, and inviting others to listen. Take it further by visiting ascension17.com for deeper spiritual growth, guidance, programs, and products.